So the paper I presented is a shortened version of the final I submitted for my freshman writing seminar, which is titled "From Potsdam to Vietnam: Era of American Preeminence." So for our final, we had to do a research project, and I chose mine to be about the July 1965 decision to escalate in the Vietnam War by Lyndon Johnson. And a part of the assignment was that we needed to use primary sources in addition to secondary sources. So I went out and I found old tape conversations between Johnson and various other individuals, such as advisors, people in Congress, people in the media, and etc. Even though I didn't include quotes from most conversations I read in my final paper, I gained a much more complete picture of the situation because it was pretty clear that Lyndon Johnson was stuck in a really complex situation, which he actually understood most aspects of, and he was well aware of the consequences of certain actions. But his domestic reform agenda and him wanting to establish a great society interfered with uh, the Vietnam War, and I found the escalation to be a byproduct of this conflict between the Great Society and the Vietnam War. In my paper, I chose to include a lot of background about America and Lyndon Johnson and the aftermath of the escalation, in order for the reader to better immerse themselves in that time period and understand the decision-making process. And some of the more memorable parts include having numerous meetings with Professor Schwartz to discuss ideas and interpretations, and also being able to see Johnson's demeanor change throughout the years from reading the conversations. The greatest challenge for me was to sort of separate hindsight about the tragedy of Vietnam from the political climate in the 1960s. And the most significant piece of information I learned was that there may not have actually been another viable alternative for Lyndon Johnson, because he faced a lot of pressure to win in Vietnam. Uh, One, due to its importance in the Cold War and how that would represent how America losing Vietnam would represent democracy falling to communism, but also that America was thought of to have the strongest military, and if Lyndon Johnson lost Vietnam, he would be the first president to be remembered for losing a war, which obviously he didn't want to happen. And then for my revisions, I made sure to continuously add different viewpoints to make the paper more complex, so it could sort of highlight how difficult the Vietnam War was to manage and how tough decisions were to make. And also for me, as I wrote and revised more and more, I uh, gained a lot more sympathy for Lyndon Johnson, because he genuinely wanted to help society advance and progress. But Vietnam was a major obstacle in his path, so he was stuck in a lose-lose situation. And the most crucial lesson I learned for my future writing is not to let my personal thoughts cloud my interpretations of my research, because I, like most people, view the Vietnam War as a horrible part of American history, a horrible tragedy. However, I can't really completely blame Johnson, because I learned through my research that he kind of didn't really have any other options. So I think that my preconceived notions sort of impeded my rough drafts. And overall, I thought this project was a great experience for me, and it was something I was really interested in, and it taught me a lot about Vietnam War history and my own writing style. Thank you.